A troubling study out this morning ties bariatric surgery to suicide among patients. The study in the journal JAMA Surgery details data among bariatric patients in Canada, revealing they were 50% more likely to commit suicide after the procedure than before. What's causing increased suicide attempts among those who took this surgical step to better their lives? We're joined now by WSJ Health and Science Senior Editor Melinda Beck to discuss. Hi, Melinda.
Hi,
great
Tanya.
to see you. Certainly troubling news, especially considering that the popularity of this surgery continues to rise, correct?
Yes, absolutely. About 200,000 of these procedures were performed in the U.S. last year. But let me just stress that for the vast majority of patients, this really improves their lives, both physically and psychologically. And the portion that attempt suicide or complete it is really less than 1%.
Right, okay. And earlier studies have also confirmed this data, so this is pretty solid information at this point,
yes,
right?
It has been shown in other studies. What hasn't been clear before was whether this was reflecting sort of a greater degree of suicidality among obese patients in general, or whether it had to do with the surgery.
Very interesting. Now, of course, we know that patients who undergo this surgery have to dramatically change their eating habits. And do some struggle with this?
Well, they do. Most of them lose a significant amount of weight, but they do have to keep it off and find other means of coping with whatever stresses in their lives or whatever place food occupied in their lives.
Right.
And that's very difficult.
And researchers don't know, of course, exactly what is causing this increased rate of suicide attempts, but they do have some theories, correct?
Yes,
Melinda?
and there are some physiological explanations. One is that patients may seem to be more sensitive to alcohol after this surgery, possibly because they have less GI tract to absorb it. And that also may change the level of hormones and neurotransmitters
in their gut.
Yes, it's the gut brain where a lot of hormones that regulate not only appetite but mood reside. And if they're getting less of those, that can affect their overall mental health. Fascinating.
And don't some patients also have sort of outsized expectations about how this surgery will change their lives?
I suspect that's one of the biggest ones. And there's a fair amount of mental illness and emotional problems in this group to begin with, and even those that lose a lot of weight don't necessarily see all their problems being resolved.
And researchers find that these increased suicide attempts tend to happen 2 to 3 years after the surgery, correct?
That was one of the most interesting findings, and one theory there is that by that time, a lot of the follow-up counseling has tapered off. By then, the expectations you had really may be not looking like they're going to be fulfilled, and patients may experience greater hopelessness at this point because they've already taken this extreme step and
so
what's left.
Is the next step then a call for longer, at least mental health counseling after these?
Well, that's what these researchers are really advocating, not only screening in advance, although believe me, mental health problems is not a reason not to get the surgery, but also follow up for as long as 5 years. One expert I talked to was not involved with the study, said that at Stanford, they intend to follow patients for life.
Very wise. Melinda Beck, thank you so much for that.
Okay, you're welcome.